Well, that's why.
Yeah, is this part of this item of the feedback?
Which is,
Yeah, yeah.
so other business.
Part of the.
Oh,
part of
what do you
the
ask?
tank.
10 is MPP, kickoff, that'd be Spencer Falcon, and then,
Listing.
no, that's just our letter. So that's, so just the other businesses, I don't have any, so if something comes up, maybe if somebody shows up late, I recognize them.
Thanks. Yeah, I should compare.
Whenever you're ready.
I'm really, you are.
Okay,
We can be ready whenever you are.
good. Good afternoon. Welcome and great to see you all. We are here today at KIPTA for Transportation Technical Coordination Committee. It's March 12th, 1 p.m. So, Andy, would you please do the roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Bullitt County?
Here.
City of Charlestown?
Here.
Nice. City of J-Town? Fun fact, today is Matt's 60th birthday, so welcome and happy birthday whenever you see him again. He is not in the office today. City of Jeffersonville? City of Mount Washington? City of New Albany?
Larry Summers here.
City of Shepherdsville? City of St. Matthews?
Keenan Stratman here.
Keenan? Clark County?
Present.
Brian? Floyd County?
Nick Creevy here.
Hello, Nick. IDEM? NDOT Public Transportation? NDOT Seymour?
Julie Fellner is here.
Hi, Julie.
Haley Thomas also.
Hi, Haley. Who did I miss? NDOT Urban and Long Range Planning. I don't think Emmanuel's here. Let's keep on going. Kentucky DAQ. I think I saw Claire.
We're here.
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, hey. Double DAQ, I like it. Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Central Office. Kentucky Transportation Cabinet District 5.
Yes, Tom Hall with District 5.
Hello, Tom.
Tracy Level, District 5.
Hello, Tracy. Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Office of Transportation Delivery. Louisville Metro Air Pollution Control District. Back from there. Moving on, Metro Economic Development. Metro Planning and Design. Metro Public Works. We'll keep on going. Louisville Airport Authority. Louisville River Port Authority. We'll find one soon. Oldham County, how about that one?
Jim Silverman
Hello, Jim. Oldham County Planning Commission.
Yeah.
Hello, Anna. Anybody from Port of Indiana? Don't believe so. TARC Accessibility Advisory Council. Not seeing Ally. Town of Clarksville.
Mike Huff's here.
Hi, Mike. TARC.
Here, thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, looks like we have a number of our advisory members on the line. I see Tanya. Hello, Tanya from Federal Highways Kentucky.
Good morning or afternoon now.
Yeah, I see Bruce from Trimart. Bruce, thank you for joining us. Did I miss anybody else? I think we got everybody on the line. I think we got everybody in the room. Appreciate you guys being here today. And so with that, we definitely have a quorum. So let's move on with the agenda.
Thank you. Next item, November TTCC meeting minutes, reviewing approval, and Andy will bring us up to date.
So you may have heard my emphasis on NDOT public transportation a minute ago when I did the roll call. Some of y'all may recall at our meeting last month, we had to adjust the minutes, and the minutes were approved with one minor adjustment. That was Bob Talley being recognized as being in attendance to at our November meeting, representing NDOT Public Transportation is what it said, and he said, "Hey, I'm NDOT Seymour," because that's where he works. And so we said, "Okay, yeah, we'll make that change." The TTCC said so, and so we made the change. Upon further review, when we made some changes to with NDOT's blessing, or NDOT made the changes, let's say it that way, to NDOT's representatives on the TTCC. This happened probably within the last 6 months or so. NDOT has three seats, if you will, and Bob was assigned to the public transportation seat. So it was indeed correct in the first place, is the long story short. And so we will need, with your all's approval to, let's say, approve the meeting minutes as originally presented at the February meeting for November, today.
Thank you. Action is requested. Do we have a motion?
Make that motion.
Thank you. Second, thank you. Any discussion, any questions? All in favor, please say aye or raise your hands. Thank you. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So now we have February TTCC meeting minutes, also review and approval, and action is requested. Did you have an opportunity to review? Any comments, questions?
Just please note that there are 2 meeting minutes, so it would be the second of the 2 in your packet.
I'll make the motion again. Second.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 4, Transportation Policy Committee Report, review the February TPC meeting activities. Andy.
Yeah, real quick, I'll go over some of the highlights from our meeting on Thursday, February 27th. That is the meeting of the KIPTA Transportation Policy Committee. The officers to this committee were approved not only at the TPC meeting, but also at the KIPTA Board of Directors meeting that met shortly thereafter. So congratulations once again to Aida and to Jim Silliman as our officers this year. We took to the policy committee the draft Unified Planning Work Program, also known as the UPWP. That's our annual MPO, let's call it a budget document. So that the draft was required to be submitted to Kentucky Transportation Cabinet and NDOT and the federal partners for the routing lists by the end of February. So we did that with the TPC's approval. In essence, there's about a 30-day comment period that's established as part of the process. Each state has a little bit different process, but those comments should be into us before too long. And then you should expect me to present that to you at the April meeting and formally at the April TPC meeting for the final approval of that UPWP. So that was discussed there. That was a difference between our meeting last month and the TPC meeting. So that's why I wanted to note that. Talk a little bit, the call for projects was approved as was presented to this committee earlier in the month. Amendment 8 was also approved. The ball is in the federal partners court right now. That is the Amendment 8. So if many of y'all have projects in Amendment 8, that was sent out to the feds immediately after that meeting. And Federal Highways Kentucky put if I'm not mistaken, a March 28th date on that. That is, as they circulate those to the federal partners, requesting any feedback to them, that is Federal Highways Kentucky, by March 28th. So, don't expect anything, but if we'll know something by the next few weeks, but otherwise we should expect those to be approved in the next couple of weeks. Moving on, it was a very busy meeting, so I'll keep going. We talked a little bit about the call for studies. That same kind of presentation that we'll talk about both today and I think last month here. And we talked a little bit about the shift process, which is kind of ongoing, and you'll hear a lot about the shift process over the next few months on the Kentucky side. So it was a really busy meeting, no guest speaker, but full of important agenda items nonetheless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, public comment period. Greg?
Yes, we did not receive any public comments prior to the meeting, and we've not seen anything in the Q&A. Anything comes up, I'll bring it up in other business.
Thank you. Item number 6, MPO cost increases. Staff will present the requested cost increases for the committee's consideration, and Brady will present.
STBG cost increase reserve cost requests. So you may remember we have this kind of runs on a quarterly period where we have a set opportunity for folks to apply for cost increases from the STBG cost increase reserve for the fiscal year that we're currently in. So currently it's fiscal year 25.
Thank you, Tony.
Technical issues, second.
No, it's a matter of.
The announcement was made for this quarterly cost increase request period. Emails were first sent out on February 5th. Sent a reminder email on February 27th, and then we received 3 MPO cost increase applications, which were heard and discussed at the Kentucky Biennial MPO Dedicated Project Review Meeting, which took place on March 6th last week. We also have a 4th cost increase request that I'm going to discuss with you that just came in. And then I just saw it minutes ago, but I have all the information for it and it's worth discussing. So we'll talk about that in a minute as well. So as where we sit right now, there's still $3.2 million available in this fiscal year's STBG cost increase reserve. And here are the 3 applications that we received in the period I discussed. The first one is from Louisville Metro. It's their McNeely Lake Park Segment Project. It's KIPTA ID 2539. This is actually a TA project. And according to our project management guidebook rules, TA or CRP projects can receive STBG funds from the STBG cost increase reserve, as long as they get confirmation from KYTC that the Office of Administration of the project will not change. So central office administers TA and CRP projects typically, and District 5 typically administers STBG projects. And so we don't want that Office of Administration changing, because that sometimes slows down the projects, gets changes who's looking at and overseeing the projects, and there can be confusion in that. Try to avoid that. So as long as KYTC says, yep, the Office of Administration won't change, that's something that we allow. And so that has happened in this case. The Metro is requesting some fiscal year 25 design funding for an increase of $350,000 federal for the design project. And they have a construction phase, I believe it's the fiscal year 27 for around $5 million federal for this project. So that's the first request, $350,000. Second request comes from KYTC. This is for their KY 1065 project. KIPTA ID 436. KIPTA gave $200,000 of planning funds previously to this project. I believe it was last fiscal year. And so this project, the later phases of it are being funded at the state level with state funds, not given funds. So we just provided planning funding, and they're in that process of performing those planning activities. And in order to do everything that they want to do within the full scope of what they would like to do with that planning activities, they would like some additional funding to cover those costs. And so they're requesting $150,000 in federal dollars planning funds to go towards this project. That's the second request. Third request is from Oldham County for their LaGrange underpass west of LaGrange, KIPTA ID 321. It's a 2025 construction phase that they would like to get to letting this fiscal year if possible. Unfortunately, they currently have around $10 million programmed in our STBG program, and the increase for this cost is over $11 million on top of the $10 million. And we just simply don't have that in the cost increase reserve at this time. So this one has not really been recommended for approval at this time, simply because we don't have the funds for it. The avenue for requesting these funds is probably going to be, as we kind of discussed, more likely through the call projects process, which will happen later this year. So those are the 3 applications that we received. The 4th one is a secondary request from KYTC that they just got updated cost estimates on very recently. And I think Tom's on the call if you want to talk more about this, Tom, but it's for their Chenoweth Lane project. It's KIPTA ID. KIPTA ID 213, state ID 5-531. They have a construction phase in 2025 that we recently gave $636,000 of additional construction funds to via the call projects. So we just awarded some additional funds to this project. So they currently have $2,576,000 federal for construction. They're trying to get to a July letting updated cost increase or updated cost estimate has informed KYTC that they need an additional $1,120,000 federal of an increase for this project. So that is the, I guess, fourth request not on here that I do have all the application information for. Anything, Tom, if you can hear me on the online that you'd like to share about this fourth request?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I think Brady covered everything pretty well. You know, it's a really a joint project that really started between the KYTC and the city of St. Matthews and also the city of Louisville. You know, and we've been working on this project for probably 8 years, and it's really a kind of multimodal enhancements and improving sort of the streetscape and the safety of Chenoweth Lane. And the bottom line is, as we get closer and closer to letting, we get much more accurate cost estimates. And this one just kind of snuck up on us. It's really essentially for relocating a water main, which is in the way of the roadway construction. So as part of the road contract, we'd move that water line. And it was just something that you know, these things come up as you get closer to a letting. And so that's what we're asking for. The good news is that we do, it does look pretty good for a summertime letting, and good use of SLO dollars that kind of more than one of the partner agencies is involved with.
So just as a summary for the group here, for the committee, once again, the $3.2 million numbers is what we have available. The two cost increase requests that I shared before, the first one from KYTC for the $150,000 in planning funds, and then the $350,000 to Louisville's Amelia Lake TA project. If both of those are approved, that's a total of $500,000, which if approved, would leave still $2.7 million remaining for the rest of fiscal year 25. If we also approve this fourth request from KYTC that Tom and I have just discussed, there would be still remaining $1,595,854 still remaining for any other cost increase for fiscal year 25. And then there's the old county project where we don't really have money to fund the request at this time. So that's all that I have. If there's any questions, I guess the kind of option for the PTCC is to approve however many of these requests you would like. And the recommendation would be certainly those $500,000 worth of the two. And then this one from KYTC most recently up to the group on, if you'd like to approve that $1,120,000 request from KYTC for Chenoweth Lane.
Thank you, Brady. Do we have questions for Brady? Please.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this. So when we break this down, the remaining amount, but and again, if we did the three projects,
Yes.
then what total amount, we've got $1.5 million left. How long is that before? I mean, we're talking fiscal year, we're talking calendar year, and again, where I'm going with this, going back to, for lack of a better term, do we need to move this money? And again, would Oldham County benefit from get 10% of the money they need here? Do we need to drain this? Do we need to keep it? What, I guess do we need a reserve, or is this something that we can use? In my mind, I think we do the three, but I'm looking at if we've got this extra money and Oldham, it might not make a difference.
We discussed that at the Thursday meeting. Could we get that portion? And it wasn't gonna benefit us at this stage, so that's why we agree with
I just wanted that to be
status right now.
to be put that out
I
there.
appreciate
That's a
that.
good question.
It's an all or nothing, more or less.
Yes,
Correct.
But that money does carry over into our fiscal 26 carryover pot, or excuse me, cost increase pot, correct, Brady?
Yes.
Yeah, so, you know, if nobody touches it in the next several months, that'll be 1.6
Right.
million that'll be there for Next fiscal year, it's, to your question earlier.
And as a reminder, the next kind of quarterly opportunity for cost increase request application will likely be in May. And then after that, it will be in August, and once you get to August, it can be fiscal year 25 phase or fiscal year 26 phase, that's kind of the carryover happens.
Any other questions or any discussion on these projects? If I may to comment, we did discuss Chenoweth Lane projects at the call for projects meetings, evaluated that, and obviously the committee was in support of providing additional funds, 637,000, I believe. So the project is ready to go. So speaking just as a member of the committee, not as a chair to influence any of your votes, if the project is ready to go and we have the money and we should move forward with spending our money and completing our projects, I think it would be favorable from my perspective. But again, it's up to every member to consider that.
I think that motion.
Please, action is requested. So the motion is at the table to approve all 4 cost increases. Three,
Yeah.
my apologies,
Yeah.
3. 3 cost increases, which would leave us approximately 1.1 million for the next fiscal year, unless in May there are additional cost increases request for this fiscal year.
1.6 will be remaining.
Yes.
1.1 was the amount of the new request that wasn't on the screen. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, thanks for clarification. So second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay. Any discussion, any further discussion? So all in favor, please say yes or raise your hand. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, and thank you, Brady. So item number 7 is call for studies application, and Brady will continue presenting.
We talked about this initially at TBC 2 weeks ago, and promised a little bit additional information, and so I'm going to share that with y'all today. Sort of a reminder of these PL funds, where they come from, what they are used to do typically. These are funds that KIPS receives from 4 different funding sources. There are PL funds from Kentucky and then PL funds from Indiana. You can see in that second and third bullet points. Then we also receive FDA Section 5303 funds from each state respectively. There's varying amounts of each of these 4 funding categories, but all 4 of these funding categories are kind of all used together to fund MPO operations and also can be used to conduct planning studies. The largest number there, the $1.3 million, $1,378,400 from Kentucky. That is, it's an 80-20 match, but 10% of the match is covered by KYTC. So it's 80% federal, 10% local, 10% KYTC. Provides some additional match relief for those particular set of funds. The other 3 groups of smaller funds are all matched at 80-20. So when we're thinking about when to use these funds for planning studies, the amount that you have to match them could vary depending on the situation. It could be as low as around 13%-ish, maybe even less than that. But I would recommend that you expect to match at 20%. It could even be more than 20% because there's usually a limited amount of money. So if we have multiple planning studies that we want to get funded, sometimes we agree to overmatch slightly. Last year, we funded 3 projects with these PL dollars, and they all matched, I believe, at 25-75, for example. But that's where this funding is and why we have it. And this year, we have, for fiscal year 26, we have anticipated $185,000 federal that could be put towards a transportation planning study. The application period for this call for studies for fiscal year 26 began on March 3rd. All of you should receive an email with some more detailed instructions about that. I'm here presenting to you today to provide some more information. The application window closes on April 1st. So if you have an application for the use of those $185,000 of PL federal funds, then please submit them by April 1st. Staff will analyze that over the first couple of weeks of April and bring recommendations to the PPC for a vote in that month. And as a reminder, these funds must be, or these studies must be completed, all actions completed for these studies by the end of fiscal year 26, that is June 30th, 2026, in order to have them. Anyone want to add anything?
Well, I was just gonna ask you to cover briefly, for those that haven't applied for this before, can you give them the general direction? We don't need to go in depth, but one, they can reach out to Brady, of course, but you wanna tell them what they need to do?
Yes, that's a good question.
Oh, tee them up.
Didn't plan that, but that was great.
Yeah.
So if you go to the KIPSIS Transportation Planning Portal, I believe it's on there in yellow, it's hard to read, but it's KIPNTransportation.org/forms. You go to this page and then there's the car icon that says fiscal year 26 PL funding. You click on that icon and that's the link to the application. So it's the same place where you do any other application for KIPSIS. And once again, that's open until April 1st. And last reminder, these funds are not for PE, they're not for design, they're not for anything else, it's just planning dollars.
And might be worth mentioning, the $185,000 that Brady had on there, that's what's currently in that work program that I told you, the draft was out. It's probably a good number. But if it's anything, it's probably a conservative number. There may be a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that, some of that is due to, we don't know what we will be able to carry over into the new fiscal year. NDOT allows us to carry over our planning funds. KYTC does not.
Mhm.
And so we don't spend all of those PL or 5303 funds. It's a bit of a moving target. And so there may be a little bit more. I wouldn't expect a lot more, to be clear, but there may be a little bit more. That could ease the match burden or something like that to get it down from that 75-25 that was last year, maybe, 80-20, maybe it is, or something like that. So, please let us know. Please reach out if you know you're gonna apply, or after the meeting, say, hey, Brady, or hey, Andy, I'm thinking about doing this. Would this fit? Just so we know, and but by all means, get it into us by April 1st.
Yeah.
April 1st, because we'll need to get that schedule rolling to get contracts in place as close to July 1st, the new fiscal year, as we possibly can.
Yeah,
Does the GRANT grant, since this is federal money, would it apply or is that for?
No, unfortunately not. What Jim's talking about is the state, I guess, call them economic development dollars that can go to provide the local match relief on projects. It's our understanding, understanding that the interpretation of it is that it has to be what would be considered a discretionary grant program, a federal discretionary grant program. These PL dollars are not discretionary dollars as much as they are, let's call them formula dollars. That is that KIPTA receives the amount of money that we do because of the urban area population that we have in Indiana and Kentucky respectively. And so unfortunately not in that case.
I just would like to say these planning funds, while it's not much, are a really great opportunity to start a project, to do some preliminary assessment, and I'm sure it would be good to spend them if we can carry them.
For sure.
And TARC in the past used these planning funds, and it was very, very helpful for us to complete some planning processes using our local match and other combination of funding. It was super helpful.
And it may be worth saying now, if there's something that we as a committee want to do, like a regional something or other, we could do that sometime too. Maybe it's this coming year, maybe it's next fiscal 27. To do a one-off thing that we would hire a fancy firm to do a fancy thing for us that either
Right.
that we don't have the resources to do one way or the other. That'd be something that we could do. If it needed to span over 2 fiscal years, we could probably do that in some limited cases too, if it was a big project. And so, but for the time being, I guess let's assume it kind of goes as last year's went, and if we get 2 or 3 or 4 applicants, that's great, and we'll be able to, award most of those, I would imagine, but within the framework of what we've put out there.
As soon as you said regional, I have 10 projects on my mind.
There we go.
You might see one,
Yeah.
and it might be collaborative project between a couple of agencies or departments if we are going to achieve regional mobility in the near future.
Yeah,
So-
it sounds bad, but you can't build stuff with this money. You just can't.
No,
Okay.
there is no good project without good plan.
Yeah, but you can plan for this good stuff that you're gonna build at a later
Yeah.
date with it, for sure,
Okay.
for sure.
Any other questions for Brady? Thank you very much. Item number 8, congestion management process update, and Aaron Monselli will present next timeline for KIPTA CMP program.
Good afternoon, everyone. So in September 2024, we introduced the development of a new CMP. And right now, we are here to present the update of the current CMP, basically the data analytics part of it. Next slide. So basically, this is the outline we will be working on. The major analysis types keep the staff working, where comparing the travel speed and the speed limits. Also, we analyze the vehicle hours delay and the travel time reliability. And we focused on the travel volumes, the traffic volumes trends at specific locations. And this trend has been, we've been tracking this trend on a monthly basis since 2020. And next, we'll look at travel times along important segments in the region. As we know, the CMP is a federally required process for transportation management areas with population over 200,000. The aim is to analyze and monitor traffic congestion and develop data-driven strategies to manage this congestion. So right now, we started by comparing the speed limits to the 85th percentile speed limit. The 85th percentile speed limit is the speed at which 85% of the vehicles are actually traveling on the road. For instance, we have 100 cars traveling. The 85th percentile would be the speed at which 85 or 85 cars actually going at or below this speed limit. So it's a very good metric to the speed of the 85th percentile. It's a very good metric to which you understand the trend, those speed trends in the region. So in general, we noticed that this is for the morning commutes, and the next slide is for the evening commute. In general, we observe that cars still drive above the posted speed limit. Although in the mornings, we observe that there is pretty much slower traffic coming into Louisville from New York Valley, for instance. Or in the evening, we observe this slow speed on both directions, basically coming through New York Valley, and we can literally interpret the graph. It's pretty much self-explanatory. Then, the next one is to talk about the vehicle's hours of delays. So the vehicle's hours of delay measures the total additional time vehicles spend on the road due to congestion from high traffic volumes, incidents on the road, and other traffic factors. This is the vehicle hours of delays in the morning time, precisely from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. This metric helps to identify bottlenecks on the road and also speed deficiencies across the region. To be precise, we are using the streetlight data set for this analysis. And according to streetlights, whenever vehicles are not traveling on the critical speed, then it's actually congestion, regardless of whatever speed it's traveling. Then this is for the arterials for the PM. That's basically from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. traffic because of delay. We can see higher bottlenecks and higher delays on the road.
We go back and forth just the morning commute, just look how much more congested or how much more delay there is in the afternoon. Just think it's interesting.
So now this is for the interstate. So, but this tries to talk about PPM. So for instance, now in-depth analysis that we're doing, although we are not showing it's gonna be in the documentation that we'll present subsequently. For instance, now from the I-265 southbound from Lagrange Road to Shelby View Road, it's about a 3-mile road corridor with about 120 vehicle hours of delay. So basically it means that the total delays are experienced by all vehicles that pass through that particular road segment that is on the line I just talked about from 3 to 7. This is the total delay experience in general. The next thing we looked at is the travel time index. So the travel time index is also the congestion metric, but this metric allows us to understand how much longer a trip will take during peak traffic conditions. It's a simple calculator, formula calculation. It's just the peak period of travel time divided by the free flow travel time. For example, we have a 5-mile road, and if the free flow speed to get to one point to get from the start to the end of the 5-mile road is about 6 minutes, for instance. And during the peak travel times, let's say we experience a 12 minutes travel time. So the TTI, that the travel time index, will be 12 minutes divided by 6 minutes. So that's 2. So we can easily interpret the graph there. And it's pretty much self-explanatory also. So this is the PM period. So let me go back in front. Okay. Then this is for the interstates. Sorry, interstates. Then before we go here, please can we switch to the Excel sheets? We selected, keep the stars here, we selected key road segments where commuters on daily travel on this current road segment. So we selected about 53 roads thereabout, and we calculated the actual time or the average travel time it takes commuters to move or to travel to commute this road in the morning times and the evening times. And we compared it to the congested times. This is the worst case scenario, or should I say the rush hour travel time. So if it takes you, say, I'm going to share the screen.
Yeah,
Wow, it's coming up. So it's just a simple table, but it's very important information in there for commuters. So if you take you, let's say coming from, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So US 50, for instance, moving from East Chestnut to Cherokee Parkway, the free flow travel time southbound is about 2.6 minutes. The morning commute is about 5.25 minutes. That's the average time in the mornings, while the congested time in the mornings, southbound will be 10 minutes, about roughly 10 minutes time. While in the afternoons, the average time is about 6 minutes, but during its worst case scenario, during congested time, will be about 12-13 minutes roughly. So we have this basically selected regions across the road. We have this segment precisely selected so that we can literally have an idea of the entire region and how longer you travel during these congested times. Okay. So this is just a snapshot of all the data set. Just I don't want this analysis to be extremely complex, so I try to simplify it. But in the documentation, we have a very detailed, very in-depth and explanations. So can we go back to the slide, please? So lastly, we identify key locations across the region. That was the map that is showing this map right here. So these are key spots across the region. We can see it's literally cuts from all the counties in the region, and they have been monitoring these trends on street life since 2020 during the COVID, and there was a decline in traffic during that, and subsequently the traffic kept steady rising, but there are fluctuations. Usually in the winter period, we observe decline in traffic, then it speaks up again in the summer, it grows again towards September, October, probably next March, and it goes up again. So this is just this is all the roads in Jefferson County that we selected. Well, we went for for cleaner view. We selected the top 15 of this of the corridors basically that we selected. Then this is for Bullitt County, selected the program roadways. Then the next one is for Oldham County. Then we have for Bullitt County also. Interesting variations going on. Then we have for Clark County.
Can you go back to Floyd real quick?
Yeah.
Just noting which one, some of the fluctuations, I wonder if it has to do with the Sherman Bridge project, maybe construction changes the traffic, you know, those are gonna be felt. It's not on 64 itself, it's on, oh, I can't tell, is it Charlestown Road, I guess, it's going up and down, or that's down way in 2023. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Yeah, very interesting trends. Then we have, okay. So that's all we have to show you for today. And right now we have no action requested, although we are currently developing the documentation, and in a couple of months, 1 or 2 months, we will come back here to give you the final documentation review process and request the recommendation to TTCs because it's still approved.
So this is this type of stuff that we want your all's feedback on, you know, what tools can Aramacelli and other KIPTA staff build that would help y'all out, right? What, on the congestion front, we're talking here, you know, we got the safety covered through our SS4A grant probably, right? That data analysis, the congestion side of it, we got these new or newish tools that we want to use, but we want the feedback to say, hey, can you try this? It'd be cool if we had that. Please do reach out to Aramacelli or myself or KIPTA staff and let's see what we can do. You know, the CMP is a required document for large MPOs. And so we'll knock the CMP out, but we want it to be, you know, more than something that just meets the feds minimum. We want it to be something that you all as LPAs and state DOTs will use, because that's, I don't know, it's probably more important to you all, and both are important to us as staff, but I think for what you guys would want to use it for, I think the data analysis that he's doing, I think could be very helpful in time.
Right. Ultimately, our region has enough infrastructure to not have any congestion. Maybe there is traffic congestion management program that could be introduced for employers, for employees, staggered hours. Those strategies are known for a long time, but definitely would be good to have recommended action steps after the plan is completed. Very helpful. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
In the total time index, all the data is coming from Streetlight, including the free flow.
Yes, the free flow and the peak times. Well, we are calculating the peak time. Okay, so.
Anyone else?
Do you have
Thank
to,
Oh, yeah.
with the vehicle hour delay per mile, do you have to weight that? Because if there's higher volume, then you're obviously gonna have more delay, or it's gonna be magnified?
Yes.
Or is that just more of an observation? Does that make sense?
The delay should include the volume, right?
Yes,
The
correct.
minutes of delay cumulative.
So then does that show maybe a false increase on higher volume areas? Because just simply because you've got more cars there. And is there a way to weight that? So if you've got a 6-lane street, it's the vehicle hour delay is gonna be 6 times greater than a 1 lane.
We did it per mile so that it was normalized by mile because the segments are different lengths, right? A lot of delay over a long segment is probably more important than a lot of delay over a little bit of a small segment. Or I say that the wrong way. The same amount of delay not weighted on a small segment is more meaningful than the same amount of delay on the long segment. So, yeah, maybe that's something we can pursue. Yeah.
In addition to that, so the number of lanes
Jennifer's got her hand.
doesn't necessarily affected because it's precisely time.
Okay.
So it's basically a time. So if the difference on street light is the it's usually, street light usually captures the free flow times. You know, very early in the morning or late in the evening, so once it's travel time at that point, nobody assumes as a free flow time. So if you're not driving at that point, at that speed, so what is the change in time? What is your current speed? Then we sum everything up in the volumes. And yes, you're correct. The higher volume, you would definitely expect higher, higher.
But relative to the free flow, that's a great comparison.
Yeah, relative, it's relative to the free flow.
We have another question, Director Kern, please go ahead.
When is the final report expected?
When is the final report expected?
So we are looking at sometime in 1 or 2 months, precisely, yeah, for that one. So yes.
Okay.
And so you got that. Thank you.
And I think the only thing that would be helpful is if I know there's a lot of data there, but if there's something like trends that are noticed, like Andy pointed out on the different changes, but any other trends that we should be clued into or pay special attention to, highlighting those would be very helpful.
Do that. I'll keep that in notes to highlight key trends and key locations here.
Again, all of this, what's gonna be in the CMP is this type of stuff, but there's spinoffs of this that is ad hoc almost of like, hey, let's check this out. Let's do that. But we don't know what y'all wanna check out until you tell us what you want us to check out. And so please, otherwise we'll keep trying, we'll keep guessing, so to speak. But if there's something y'all wanna take a shot at or see if we can, don't be shy.
Is there any kind of way that this could be incorporated into planning purposes with development at all? Like, okay, there's these existing traffic congestion issues. I mean, like, it's not, there's still gonna be traffic studies done when those things happen, but I don't know if we.
And we could utilize it as a tool to indicate problem areas.
Yeah. Especially if we have like planned developments coming to those areas.
Sure.
I would encourage LPAs to use that and the safe SS4A data, probably use them in tandem in many cases, maybe not all, but many, to say, look, this was a top 10 high injury network in Oldham County, and it's identified as having high delay or travel time index. This is worthy of investment. We will use tools, we will use data like that to feed the scores of the projects in our long range plan update. So a project that's brought to KIPTA to be in the long range plan and TIP will get scored on how, is it addressing a congestion issue or safety issue, I suppose. So I would encourage that and I encourage you to use it the way you see fit, but also if there's something extra that we can add to it, being like, hey, that stuff that you showed us in March over at KIPTA, I got somebody coming, the core station development, what can we do? Can we set us up for a before and after? Let's look at the 2025 and then let's look at the 2030 or whatever, and let's show the impact of it. That'd be a cool thing, I think. Something like that. I'm just picking stuff
I
up.
think this would be vital to economic development.
Yes.
Because one of the issues we have, I know, I'm assuming the other counties around Metro, I know Metro has these as well, but in Bullitt, for instance, we've got, I see Arthur out here, we've got a couple of projects on West 44, which, again, that's gonna be a safe streets for all issue. But as we get closer to Shepherdsville, as we go to Mount Washington, these economic development impact areas. Homes, businesses, things like that. Talk to a group that wants to do a business, it's gonna go on a road that we can't do that because of the congestion, because of the narrowness. It's not that it's that heavily traveled, but I think this is something that is, to me, more important to economic development than it is anything else.
I think it might be. I think you might be right. And one of the things that we're trying to get away from as staff is the prior iterations of the CMP or congestion analysis that we would have done. You probably heard me over the years talk about level of service analysis. And that's fine. And it was sound principles using highway capacity manual principles, but it took some liberties with certain assumptions. One of those is that congestion is not a 24 hours a day phenomenon. It's a peak hour phenomenon.
Hotspots in time and place.
Yeah, and so, we really didn't have data that showcased what's going on in the morning by itself or in the afternoon by itself, and now we do, so that's exciting. And so we also didn't have as robust of, like traffic counts or general traffic data in so many places. Also, not only the peak hour, but the directionality of it, right? Maybe eastbound's the problem, westbound's no big deal. We can probably answer some of those questions better than we used to when it was like a two-way, 24-hour traffic volume compared to some highway capacity manual estimate of capacity, and we assigned a level of service. We probably weren't far off. I bet the maps look about the same, but I think these maps, by the nature of them, are going to be more well-refined and a little bit more finer grain.
Yeah, and I think those are the kind of things that when we're discussing potential growth in your area, these are the things that we can say, hey, you know, maybe we have to look somewhere else, or yes, we can, or you know, maybe on this timeline, that type of thing. So I think that's, I think this is very,
It's very possible. We can check the condition changes over time. Yeah.
We have another question of Claire, please go ahead. And this has been great discussion. Everybody's involved. So Claire, thanks.
Hi, this is Claire Euler with the Kentucky Division for Air Quality. And I was just wondering if any of the monthly level charts that you all shared, if it would be within the capacity to do kind of a daily analysis, because I know during ozone season, it would be really interested to see if the high levels of traffic and miles traveled had an impact on when we're seeing peaks in ozone for air quality. So it would definitely be an interesting analysis to look at.
Okay, so you were requesting for like a daily trend, basically. Would it be? Okay.
Yeah, so ozone season is from March to October, so it wouldn't be necessary during the winter months, but even just like the peak ozone months, we generally see spikes June, July, and August. So even if there is capacity just for those months, it would definitely be just an interesting study on the air quality side.
Yeah, that's very possible, and it's something. Now you mentioned it, we'll probably discuss it in-house if it's something we can add. But yes, it's very possible to check the trends on, say, July month. We can check the daily trends in July month. We can check probably the entire summer. We can check the trends in the entire summer. We can do that. And yeah, if it's something you think we should add, we can talk about that in-house and add it.
Claire, I think one of the, if there is a sticking point on that, it's the data that we'd be using. And we may end up getting, so if we were to say, hey, there was an ozone alert days or whatever they're called on July 5th through 7th or something like that, can we get some data from those 3 days? I think we might not be able to do that because of what Streetlight will provide, but let's say that's Wednesday through Friday, we could get Wednesdays in July data. And so unfortunately, Wednesday, July 5th would be with July 12th and 19th and 26th. I think that might be the issue to really get to what I think you're asking about, but we can get closer than probably what we've shown this afternoon. I guess we can get one step closer. I don't know if we can get all the way there, but might be worth a try.
Yeah, so that's why we're not still the data. So basically we, in order to ensure the data is very accurate or more accurate, it has to be over time. Say every Wednesday is in July, we would have more accurate information about that. But if it's just a particular day, we would have the data, but the reliability on the data is the concern there. So we can get the July trends, daily trends in July. We can do that for specific dates. We can give the information, but it's not. Currently, what you said, the reliability on that is a question.
Thank you, Isidro, and then Rachel on.
I was wondering if any of this call it research that you're doing is being published or updated in the website, if the website, so people can be up to date with the development.
It definitely is going to be fundamental to the CMP document. That'll be out on our website or our CMP page. And again, maybe there's some tools we can build that's kept traffic page or whatever we call it, something that would be a dashboard or something like that. Again, if y'all have some ideas, let us know. We can monitor the trends and sky's the limit, I think.
We can keep updating.
Thanks. Rachel? You are muted.
I am muted. Thank you all so much. That's really,
We look forward to hearing from you.
I appreciate Claire's question. And I think it is something, even with limited data, looking at, possible couple of days, information, that it could help look at weight of evidence with respect to traffic related impacts in ozone formation. So this is something that I think we'd be interested in sitting down and understanding, some of the limitations and the opportunity to try to use it with that ozone. Oh, gosh, complex situation. So
your audio is really low. We apologize, but we probably heard most of it, but not 100% sure.
I'm sorry, I think my microphone was stuck in my scarf. I apologize. So with respect to having a data set every Wednesday in July that can go to the weight of evidence, it would be very helpful for us in analyzing ozone formation as a historic construct. And I think we should get together and see what we can do about understanding that data set and putting it to good use. It's a great presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we heard you well. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this topic? We look forward to the draft document and review, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Item number 9, fiscal year 2025-2028 Transportation Improvement Program update. Staff will discuss schedule for the update to the TIP, and Chris will be presenting to us.
Hello, everyone. We have a presentation. Okay. So, most of you are aware we're updating our TIP right now. March has been a busy month, and it's going to be continuing to be a busy month for our behind the scenes tasks that we're doing here at KIPTA for this project. So why are we updating the TIP? All MPOs are required to make updates at least every 4 years. And the TIP's a short range multi-year program of transportation projects with approved federal, state, and local funds within the KIPTA region. So we're updating that. Moving forward, our current TIP is the fiscal year 23 to 26 TIP. It is fiscally constrained as a subset of the CK 2050 MTP. The fiscal year 25 to 28 TIP, which is what we're going to call our next TIP, that is also going to be a subset to the current MTP. So we will use the same project scoring system as we have been, and the new TIP adoption will be added to the MTP as Amendment 9. So you might see fiscal year 25 to 28 TIP / Amendment 9. Some of our upcoming documentation. The next MTP is in the early planning stages. Spencer's going to talk about this in the next presentation. The TIP following our next TIP will be created in conjunction with that next MTP. A lot of moving parts.
Any questions about that before she goes on to the next one?
All right. Okay, so a little bit on how our project list was developed, and I did kind of go over this a few months ago, but as a reminder, we have our 3 types of projects that we looked at. How are we going to get these in the new TIP? We have our existing projects. So the existing projects that we have with phases between fiscal year 25 and 28, those are automatically going to be carried over to the new TIP. Older phases from fiscal year 23 and 24 are going to drop off. And then illustrated phases listed as in the current TIP listed as fiscal year 27 and 28, those will be carried over into the new TIP. And they won't be illustrated, they'll be just in the TIP. We have our call for projects. Those project updates that we just finished that are all approved, they're going to be all included in the new TIP. So some of those we've already put in the old tip or the current tip. And those will carry over just like any other projects. Then we have some that were amendment level changes, as I call them. Those we're gonna be adding with the adoption of the new tip. And then there's maybe a few that didn't really need to go into the current tip. So those are also on the list of new projects or new updates going into the new tip. And then we also have a category of other project updates. KIPTA gave a deadline of December 6th to everyone to include any other required updates that we wanted to put into the initial draft of the next tip. As you know, we can continue to make updates to the tip. It's a never changing document, but that initial draft, sometimes it's nice to just see the updates in that copy. The technical problem.
Reload it, maybe?
My computer's frozen.
Oh.
There we go.
Sorry about that, folks.
Yeah, just listening on. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Can you make it a little bit? Okay, so I've showed this schedule before, but I've got the red, the red text is kind of showing a highlight of what's going on right now this month. The air quality activities are wrapping up very soon, and we're about to share the list of new updates and schedule the review meeting with the IAC group by the end of this week, perhaps tomorrow. We'll be doing that. KIPTA staff are working hard to edit the narrative and figures right now. The public comment period is planned to start on March 31st, and that'll last through most of April. Ultimately, we're looking for committee approval the month of May. And then I've just got a few more considerations to keep in mind. So the tip development has a lot of moving parts, as I said. Andy mentioned earlier, Amendment 8 is currently pending its federal conformity approval. And the anticipation for that is the end of March, early April. So any project that's in that, we can't officially make any updates to those projects until that's over. But presumably that'll definitely be over before we are in the processes for updating our new tip. And those will all carry over into it. Unless it's absolutely necessary, no further updates are planned for the current tip. If modifications to the current tip are needed, they will need to be modified separately to both the current and the new tip. So we want to avoid that as much as possible. Any update requests received at this point will not be able to be listed in the initial draft of the new tip, and they will be modified or amended as number one added mod or number one amendment to the future tip. And that won't be possible until after it's adopted. Does anyone have any questions? That's about it.
Comments, discussion? No, I don't see anything online. Thank you. This was very helpful. You just need to keep up with all the changes.
Yeah, and if anybody has any questions, when is my change going to be official? Just feel free to email me, because I know it's a little bit confusing to keep track of all the moving parts.
Thank you very much. Yes. Item number 10, Metropolitan Transportation Plan kicked off, and Spencer will showcase the next update to the tip. To the MPP, my apologies, to the MPP.
Lots of tips talk, so.
Yeah, well, it's all tip and MPP on my agenda.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great, pull that up. It's also, for the people in the room, it's at the end of your all's, it's the last page in the packet. For the online one, we've already made a few little updates, so the one you all have is mostly right, just the 2055 got changed to 2050. I'll get right into it. So today and at the next TPC meeting, we are officially kicking off the new MTP update. you know, as you guys know, or maybe a few of you don't know, the long range plan is an ever going, you know, never stopping thing. But it kind of goes through like peaks and valleys, and right now we're kind of ramping up to develop the next version of it. So we updated it previously in May 2023. Since we are a non-attainment area, we have to update it every 4 years. So our next update is due by summer 2027. So kind of just kicking it off right now. You'll see on your one sheeter here, there's kind of a schedule, there's a thing of schedule highlights. It talks about kind of having the MTP approved winter 26, which kind of means like November 2026 to February 2027, but it's definitely a moving target a little bit. You know, it just has to be done by the summer of 2027. We decided to change the 2055 back to 2050 because we want to keep the target, what do you call it, Andy?
Horizon year.
Horizon year. We wanted to keep the horizon year the same. There's a lot of benefits to keeping the horizon year the same. Definitely helps with the modeling aspects of it. There's a lot more information that's just available for the 2050 horizon year.
We're only required, MTPs are required to go 20 years past the adoption when you adopt it. So we're in good shape keeping it at 2050.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the last one went out 27 years. This one will still be going out about 23 years, so we can keep that 2050 date. You'll see right there on planning updates, besides kickoff, which is kind of this, and then March 27th. There's something talking about public outreach. I've been working with Greg, and I've reached out to a few different companies that have outreach tools like Social Pinpoint, because I know everybody really liked that. We did that for the SS4A comment map, and also maybe potentially using our own in-house comment map that we usually use for things like amendments. But we are going to do like an issues identification. This will be a survey. Like I said, it could be that comment map. It could just be as simple as like a Google form or a form stack, but it would be open to the public and everyone in the room to basically get as much feedback about what kind of transportation issues the people encounter in their daily travel. There'll probably be some open-ended questions where they can write whatever they like, but there probably will be a lot of like, select these checkboxes because it definitely makes it easier to kind of go through it later. That's scheduled for April of this year. Kind of like one of the first big steps. It's something the first big like public outreach aspect of the MTP development process. So we'll be doing that soon, and you know, we'll ask you guys to help us spread the word, spread it on your own social media if you could. We'll definitely be putting it on all of our social media. It'll go out in the newsletter. Yeah. But yeah, so that'll be the first step of the public outreach aspect of it. And then you'll see a little blurb about spread the word. Greg will make things shareable on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that. On the left, you'll see the schedule highlights. A big part of what we're doing right now is updating a lot of the data. So updating bike and pedestrian data, making sure our bike lanes kind of match what's out there today, making sure if there's been new sidewalks that have been built, making sure that they're reflected in our data, because a lot of that data is very important to the scoring system that we built this past go around. So we want to make sure that, you know, all the projects get all the points they're supposed to get. For example, me and Elijah will be updating the environmental justice areas. Kind of in flux right now because we were going to use the CEJST, which was the Community Economic Justice Screening Tool. Right now, that's kind of no more. They might come back out with it, maybe with some updates to the name. But, you know, for now, I think the plan is to just update those the way we always have in the past, maybe tweak, you know, make some tweaks to improve it, but essentially keep it relatively the same. And we'll be doing that very soon. Updating a lot of demographic data, so that's like the jobs data, the census data for like where people live, where people work, which is very important for the modeling aspect. And for forecasting out to 2050 for the population and employment trends.
That's something we traditionally come out to you guys for assistance on. In other words, this is the way we've traditionally done it anyways, and I imagine it'll be something like this, is we'll come up with, we'll take a look at your comprehensive plan, some of the current information, current year information that we can get through census and other means, and then come up with a scenario that we think might fit, but then with 100% your control over, hey, tell us where we're wrong, tell us where we're right, type of thing.
But you know, we definitely have, we should have a lot better data that we could use that's more current, because if you guys recall from the last time, we had to use 2019 as a base year because COVID messed up so much of like the 2020 data, which seemed like a natural point to use. We're a little early to use 2025, but we'll still, I think, be able to use more recent data that will definitely have some of the reflections from COVID, maybe some more of the trends like work from home reflected in it. You know, more of the trend of people almost moving out of some of the cores a little bit and into the suburbs and into the exurbs to have more space. So hopefully we see that in the data. Let's see. You'll also see something on that says active transportation plan. That's something that's likely to be done post the new MTP. It's kind of something that's been around, floating around the KIP diverse for a while. I got on here just as a little blurb. An active transportation plan is a roadmap for enhancing walking and biking infrastructure and conditions within a community, promoting active modes of transportation and improving safety and mobility. You know, not every MPO has one of these, but I know a lot of them have developed one in the last 5 to 7 years. Some states have them. I know, like, I was reading more about them. Department of Transportation in California has one, but it's basically just to promote people using active transportation, especially biking. That's a lot more viable for most people to go to work as opposed to walking. So it'll be something nice to develop here in the future, but I don't think it'll get developed to be in the new MTP, and probably is a post the coming MTP project. And then the goals, objectives, and performance measures will be reviewed again as well, and there will be a lot of outreach to you all in the public to kind of look at those, see what worked, what didn't, what was easy to track performance measure wise, what was really hard, you know, are we missing anything? And a lot of those go into the scoring system for projects. So kind of evaluate all that at the same time, align that with the PMP, the performance management plan that Aaron Manselli's been working on. We kind of want to make sure that those stay, you know, congruent with each other. So check on that. And then on the back side, kind of to see the key parts of what goes into MTP development, like the data analysis and forecasting. Already talked about the socioeconomic data, high density land use clusters, which really are, that's part of the scoring system. The model that we use in GIS creates those itself and then uses them to give scores to projects for certain things like, oh, an area of lots of jobs or lots of schools or lots of parks. Looking at the freight network, crash data, this is where we'll definitely add like the SS4A data and plan into the new MTP. I think that'll have a big role and emphasize safety. You know, the congestion analysis and the CMP will definitely be a part of the new MTP. Like I said, looking at bike and ped infrastructure again, and then just social trends and disruptive technologies. So maybe look at things like, you know, maybe the future effects of, like maybe we could have a map on where electric vehicle chargers are, or
Driverless cars.
yeah, things like that. Maybe just add, you know, but it's always changing. So it's like every 4 years, it's an easy time to add. Here's a new subsection about some technology like that, or things like work from home. There's been a trend of going back to the office, so kind of talk about some of that. Talk about project development again. There's parts of it that you always have to have with the MTP, like the financial plan, air quality conformity, you know, updating those goals, objectives, and performance measures, kind of looking at unmet needs around the region. And then the public outreach, which we talked about, the issues identification, goals and objectives, and then there eventually will be a draft list of all the projects, which will come way later, probably sometime mid to late next year. And then the final draft of the plan, which will be like the last thing that we bring, you know, a few months before to get public comment, to get your all's comments, make any changes that need to be made, and then adoption by TTCC and TTC. So you see all the all the social media and contact info in the bottom right corner. Little blurb about the plan in the bottom left, and then there's some more contact info at the bottom, but there's a little one sheeter, just to officially kick off the coming MTP. I don't know if it'll still be called Connecting Kentucky in 2050, but for now it is. Until we, if we think of a better name, maybe, or think of a way to differentiate it from the current Connecting Kentucky in 2050.
Taking suggestions, yeah.
Yeah. Discussion, comments, questions? I would like to mention that TARC is working on the short-term and long-term plan, TARC 2025. And the long-term plan obviously is a vision for the region and the community to have much better public transportation system than we have now. The region and community are growing. We need better public transit to be a strong economically, socially, and by many other ways. So I do hope that as part of the long-term efforts for Connecting Kentuckiana and MTP, the vision for public transit system will become a regional approach for KIPTA and will be part of the long-term planning. At the moment, we do not have the funding to provide such a strong system for the region, but the goal is that working together as a region, as agencies, part of the economic development, we consider as part of the long-term transportation infrastructure, public transit. It has a strong role.
Yeah, we definitely will integrate the new TARC 2025 plan into that, and definitely communicate with you all just to make sure that the message is the same and be on the same page. But we'll definitely want to integrate that.
And thank you to KIPTA and you for participating in the draft plan development. That was very helpful. Any other discussion? Any online questions? I don't see anyone. So thank you very much.
Thanks.
The last item on the agenda is other business. Andy?
Yeah, real quick, I guess I want to recognize the folks that got in just as we were finishing up the roll call. Jennifer Commissar-Kern, we heard from her earlier, and Mark Knoll, both from Louisville Metro Public Works. Thank you all for joining us. Arthur Jones, City of Shepherdsville. Arthur, thank you for joining us. Thank you, sir. Rachel Hamilton, we heard from her from Louisville Metro Air Pollution Control District. Cedro Delgado's in the room. Hey, Cedro, thanks for coming from driving from Frankfurt today. Miguel Zamora, Louisville Riverport Authority. Miguel, thank you for joining us. And so they get their full attendance points, just like the rest of us for showing up here today. So thank you all for being here today. We had 20 voting members here today. That's a pretty big number. So thank you all for your support.
Thank you. We've learned a lot of new initiatives going forward with KIPTA. And this is the end of our formal meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So I have one more thing real quick too.
Please.
For SS4A, you guys should have or will be receiving an email from Amy Williams from TSW. It'll have all your information about having your local safety action meetings, the second one. And we'd like to try to get them by the end of the month, but if everybody could try to host them the next month, I can help set them up if people need help. I know Mick has helped me a lot too, our RTC coordinator. And so if you haven't received that, maybe shoot me an email and I'll see what the holdup is. I know there are a few draft plans they were trying to finish up, but most everybody should have received an email by now with all their little packet information like last time. So.
You got ours today.
Okay.
Okay, anything else before I call motion to adjourn one more time? Motion to adjourn? Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you here today.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.